I posted the photos, the best gift I could have given myself. Within minutes the calls came pouring in. You need to give that house to Claire, they demanded. My response? Not happening. End of story. So here I am, Captain Riley Monroe, 35 years old, a U.S. Army officer, and I've just dragged myself through the ugliest divorce you can imagine. Yeah, I know what you're probably thinking. Another woman griping about her ex. But trust me, this story goes downhill before it ever starts climbing back up. By day, I handle logistics and operations, running my unit like clockwork. Discipline, order, structure. That's my world. But apparently none of that matters to some people. My ex-husband, Daniel, couldn't keep his vows if his life depended on it. I caught him cheating, again, and this time I wasn't sticking around. Papers filed. Case closed. My parents? They completely lost it when I told them I was divorcing him. Riley, you're being ridiculous, my mom scolded over the phone. Daniel makes most of the money. You live off his income. I nearly laughed. Mom, I'm an Army officer. I pull 6 figures. I don't need his money. But of course she didn't believe me. Daniel told us all about your little military job. Little military job? I wanted to slam the phone down. But it wasn't you. My parents had never taken me seriously. To them, the sun rose and set on my younger sister, Claire. That favoritism was carved into our family history. When Claire was 7 and I was 15, she spilled juice all over my laptop and broke it. My parents comforted her with a brand new tablet the very same day. When I asked about replacing my computer, Dad shrugged and told me I should have been more careful. When she got her driver's license, they handed her the keys to a brand new Honda. 3 years earlier, when it was my turn, I got Dad's rusty old pickup that needed a prayer just to start. Claire barely scraped into an average college and my parents threw her a huge party, covering every expense. When I earned a partial scholarship to a much better university, all I got was, "That's nice. Figure out the rest on your own." So yeah, the favoritism wasn't exactly subtle. When the divorce was finalized, I kept our apartment. Daniel took the country house. It was fair. I'd put down more on the apartment anyway, even though he always strutted around like he paid for everything. But my parents lost their minds over that too. How could you give him the country house? Mom shrieked. We loved spending weekends there. Of course they did. Daniel used to invite them constantly, pouring wine on the deck while they gushed about how wonderful he was. Now that he had the house, they were furious with me. You can visit me at the apartment instead, I suggested. Mom snorted. It's not the same. That house had a pool. A garden. Your apartment is just an apartment. For 2 months I was cut out of family dinners completely. Meanwhile, Claire flooded Instagram with pictures. Her mom, dad, all smiles at the dining table, captions reading family night. And of course I wasn't in a single one. When I finally got invited back, Mom made sure I felt the sting. While passing the mashed potatoes, she said, Claire's been asking questions about your divorce. She's not sure she even wants to get married now after seeing what you did. What I did. My fork froze midair. You mean what Daniel did? Mom didn't blink. You're setting a bad example for your sister. She's only 27. She doesn't need to see you throwing away a perfectly good marriage. Claire smirked across the table. She didn't say a word, but the satisfaction on her face said everything. Claire always loved seeing me get knocked down a peg. And here I was, freshly divorced, financially secure but emotionally running on fumes, while my parents painted me as some kind of monster for leaving a cheating husband. The whole situation was absurd. But the strangest thing? I was starting to feel lighter. Stronger. I had my own place. A steady Army career I was proud of. Friends who stood by me no matter what. The apartment was finally mine to shape however I wanted. No more arguments over a paint color or where to hang a picture frame. For the first time in years I felt free. The divorce had scarred me, sure. But it also handed me something I hadn't realized I was missing. Control. Independence. Every decision, from the smallest detail to the biggest life choice, was finally mine. No one to undermine me. No one sneaking around behind my back. My friends made sure I didn't go through it alone. Sarah, my old college roommate, dragged me out for drinks every Friday. My fellow officers and colleagues pulled me into their weekend barbecues and get-togethers. These were people who actually cared about me, who respected my choices instead of tearing them apart. Time passed, and before long my 36th birthday was closing in. This year I wasn't waiting for scraps of attention from anyone. I called my parents 2 months in advance. Mom, I'm throwing a birthday party at my apartment. Don't make other plans, just come here. Yeah, we remember, she mumbled before hanging up. I started prepping right away. Catering ordered from a great restaurant downtown. Decorations picked out. I only invited the people who mattered. My closest friends, the colleagues I trusted. No surprises. No last-minute drama. While I was planning, I rang up David, a realtor buddy who had helped me and Daniel buy our old apartment. David, I've got some savings. I'm thinking of buying a country house. I can put down a solid payment and handle the mortgage. That's fantastic, Riley. What kind of place are you looking for? Something nice. Really nice. I want this to be my birthday gift to myself. He was thrilled, and within weeks he was sending me listings. I spent my weekends touring properties one after another. And then the third house I saw stopped me cold. It was perfect. Wide open land. A beautiful structure. Exactly what I'd been picturing. We closed the deal a week before my birthday. I could barely contain my excitement. The best part? I hadn't breathed a word to my family. This was going to be my surprise reveal at the party. When the day came, for once I was actually excited about my birthday. The catering looked incredible. The apartment sparkled with decorations. My phone was filled with photos David had sent me of the new house, and I couldn't wait to show them off. By 6, friends started pouring in. Sarah brought wine. Colleagues brought flowers. Laughter and music filled the room. But by 7:30 there was still no sign of my parents or Claire. That knot settled into my stomach. You know the one. You hope your family won't let you down even though deep down you expect they will. Where's your family? Sarah asked, scanning the room. They'll be here, I told her. But I didn't believe it. 8 o'clock rolled around. The party was in full swing, but I couldn't stop checking my phone. I called Mom, voicemail. Dad, voicemail. Claire, nothing. I fired off texts. Hey, where are you guys? Party started an hour ago. Please call me back. I'm getting worried. Silence. Everyone else was laughing, eating, having a great time while I felt sick to my stomach. My own family couldn't even show up for a party I'd planned 2 months ahead. Finally, at 9 o'clock my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. We have other plans tonight. Claire is introducing us to her boyfriend at dinner. This is more important than your birthday. I stared at the message for 5 whole minutes. I couldn't believe it. They chose Claire's dinner over my birthday, the birthday I'd told them about 2 months ago. My hands shook as I dialed her number. She picked up after a few rings. What? She answered, already sounding irritated. Claire, why would you plan your dinner tonight? It's my birthday party. She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, it just worked out that way. Sorry. But I could hear it in her voice, that same mocking tone she'd used on me since we were kids. You did this on purpose, didn't you? I snapped. Don't be so dramatic, Riley. And don't cry about it, okay? You'll ruin your makeup. Then she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, like I'd just taken a punch to the gut. Seconds later, another notification buzzed. A photo. Claire, some guy I'd never seen, and my parents all at a fancy restaurant, raising their glasses like they were celebrating something huge. I nearly lost it. I wanted to scream, hurl my phone, or just lock myself in my room and break down. But then I looked around. My apartment was full of people who had actually shown up for me. I straightened my back, drew in a long breath, like bracing before a mission, and slipped my phone into my pocket. Time to face my unit, the one that actually had my back. Everything okay? My colleague Marcus asked quietly. Yeah. Family emergency. They can't make it, I said. No one pushed. No judgment, no snide remarks. Just respect. That was more than my blood relatives ever gave me. Sarah raised her glass. Well, their loss. Happy birthday, Riley. Everyone joined in, and for the first time that night I felt a crack of warmth in my chest. At least these people wanted to celebrate me. So I gave them my surprise. Actually, I have some news. I bought a house. The room erupted. Friends leaned in with questions, eyes bright with excitement. I pulled out my phone and showed them David's photos. Riley, this is stunning, Sarah gasped. That pool is insane, Marcus added. You've got to throw a housewarming party. Count us in, another friend said. For the first time in a long while I felt genuinely happy. These people celebrated my success instead of resenting it. The party went late. Everyone pitched in to clean up afterward, which was the kind of kindness I never got from my own family. When the last guest left, I poured myself a glass of wine and sank into the couch. The truth hit hard but clear. My family had deliberately chosen not to come. Claire had set her dinner on my birthday just to spite me. And none of them, not Mom, not Dad, not Claire, had even bothered to wish me a happy birthday. But I had something they didn't know about. Something that was going to shift the balance. I opened Instagram, uploaded the photos of my new country house and typed out the caption, "The best gift to myself. Love yourself first." They followed me, of course. They'd see it. I went to bed satisfied, knowing tomorrow was going to get interesting. Saturday morning my phone was buzzing non-stop. Dozens of missed calls, from Mom, Dad, Claire. Text after text lit up the screen. Mom, what house is this? Where did you get the money? Call me immediately. Dad, Riley, we need to talk. What's going on? Claire, is this real? How did you buy a house? Why didn't you tell us? I brewed myself coffee and ignored every single one. For once in my life I had the upper hand. If they wanted answers they could wait, just like I'd waited years for them to treat me like I mattered. By Sunday morning I was still ignoring them. I sat at my kitchen table in pajamas, coffee in hand, scrolling my phone. The apartment was quiet, sunlight streaming in through the windows. For the first time in days I felt relaxed. Then came the pounding. Not polite knocking, hard, aggressive thuds that rattled my coffee cup against the saucer. I peered through the peephole. Dad, Claire. All three of them standing in the hallway, faces tight with anger. I inhaled deeply, smoothed my hair and allowed a slow smile. Showtime. When I opened the door they barged in without so much as a word. Heavy footsteps echoed across my hardwood floors. Mom scanned the apartment like she was inspecting for dust. Dad planted himself dead center in the living room, hands on his hips. Claire dropped onto my couch like she owned the place. Riley, what the hell is going on? Dad barked, his face already red. You bought a house and didn't tell us? That's completely irresponsible. I stayed calm, leaning against the kitchen counter with my arms folded like I was back at briefing. I was going to tell you at my birthday party. You know, the one you didn't show up to. For a moment they faltered. Mom glanced at Dad. Dad stared at his shoes. Claire suddenly found her manicure fascinating. The silence stretched 10 long seconds before Mom's face hardened again. You can't afford a house on your salary, she snapped, her voice rising with that shrill edge it always got when she was cornered. Where did you get the money? Did you take out some ridiculous loan? Are you drowning in debt? I laughed, an actual belly-deep laugh. If you paid attention to my life for once, you'd know I make good money. But you never listen. I've told you dozens of times what I do, but you never cared. Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping on shore. It hit me then. After all these years she still had no clue what I actually earned as an army officer. And then Dad said something that froze my blood. You need to give this house to Claire. I stared. What did you just say? You heard me. Claire needs it more than you do. I scanned their faces, waiting for a smirk, a hint that this was some twisted joke. Nothing. They were dead serious. Mom nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. We talked about it last night. You already have an apartment. Claire doesn't have anywhere to live when she gets married. Married? I asked flatly. Claire stepped forward, smug. Derek and I are getting engaged. Wedding in 6 months. We need a place to live. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. You expect me to just hand over my house? It makes sense, Dad said. You don't need 2 places. I couldn't believe it. My own family standing in my apartment demanding I give away the house I'd worked for. Hand it to my spoiled little sister like some kind of wedding gift. You've lost your minds, I said coldly. Get out. Now. They looked stunned as if they truly thought I'd smile and say, of course, Claire. Take my house. Riley, don't be selfish, Mom started. Out, I barked, my voice sharp, trained, the kind of command that made new recruits snap to attention. I shoved them toward the door. Dad tried to dig his heels in, but I kept pushing. You're unbelievable, I spat, forcing them into the hallway. I don't want to see any of you again. Riley, you can't just, Claire began. I slammed the door in her face and locked it. Their muffled arguing carried through the walls for a few minutes, then faded down the hall. I thought that was the end of it. That maybe finally they'd realize how ridiculous they were being and leave me alone. Wrong again. A few days later the phone calls started. The phone calls didn't stop. First Aunt Susan. Riley, honey, don't you think you're being a little unfair to Claire? Vic. Hung up. Then Uncle Robert. Your mother says you're refusing to share your new house with your sister. That doesn't sound like you. Vic. Hung up. Then my cousin Jennifer. Come on, Riley. Claire's getting married. Can't you help her out? Vic. Hung up again. It hit me. Mom had called every relative in her arsenal, spinning some sob story about poor little Claire and her heartless sister. But the worst part came when Claire took it online. She posted a photo of herself crying, actual tears streaking her face, with a caption. When your own sister refuses to help because she's jealous you're getting married and she's divorced. Some people can't stand to see others happy. The comments rolled in fast and cruel. Relatives, family, friends, even distant connections piling on, calling me selfish, bitter, jealous. People I barely knew branded me horrible names. I didn't respond. What was the point? 2 weeks later I shifted my focus back to something real. My new home. I decided to throw a housewarming party. I invited the same people who'd shown up for my birthday. My real friends, supportive colleagues, and the few relatives who hadn't demanded I give Claire my house. The week before I threw myself into preparation. Buying furniture, decorating, making the place shine. By the time Saturday rolled around the house looked incredible. Finally felt like mine. Guests started arriving around too. Everyone was blown away. Compliments poured in. How beautiful the place was, how proud they were of me, how much I deserved it. For the first time in months I was genuinely having fun. Then at 4 o'clock came a knock at the door. I opened it. My parents. Surprise. Mom chirped, her voice artificially bright. They brushed past me like they owned the place. Hello everyone, she announced. I'm Riley's mother. My friends exchanged confused glances. They knew these were the same parents who hadn't bothered showing up to my birthday. But Mom kept moving through the crowd, shaking hands, plastering on smiles, acting like the perfect supportive mother. Then she planted herself in the center of the living room. I'm so proud of Riley, she said loudly, and I'm sure she's going to let her father and me move into this beautiful house, since we've decided to give our house to Claire for her wedding. The room froze. Utter silence. I let the beat hang, then smiled. Actually no, I said just as clearly. You're not moving into my house. Mom's smile cracked. Riley, we can work this out privately. No, we can't. I walked to the front door, pulled it open. You need to leave. Now. Dad stepped forward, bristling. I'm not going anywhere. This is ridiculous. Then I'm calling the police. I pulled out my phone, thumb hovering over the dial screen. That broke them. They stormed out, Dad yelling back, "You're an ungrateful daughter," as they made their way to the car. I shut the door, turned to my guests who were still staring. I smiled. Sorry about that. Let's get this party back on track. And we did. My friends rallied around me, telling me how proud they were that I'd stood my ground. The afternoon turned into one of the best days I'd had in a long time. 6 months have passed since that disaster. I haven't spoken to my family once. Not a single word. And honestly, it's been the most peaceful 6 months of my adult life. I know Claire got married. I saw the photos before I blocked them all on social media. Looked like an expensive wedding. I wasn't invited, of course. Not that I would have gone. From what I hear through the grapevine, Claire and Derek are renting a cramped one-bedroom across town. Supposedly it's not great. My cousin Jennifer tried to guilt-trip me about it on the phone a couple months ago. They're stuck in this tiny place, she said. If you just let them use your country house. Hung up. I've gotten really good at hanging up on people. My parents are still in their same old house. The one they supposedly promised Claire. Funny how that big gift never actually happened once they realized I wasn't going to let them take over my place. From what I hear, they still complain about me to anyone who will listen. According to Aunt Susan, one of the few family members who actually supports me, they tell everyone I'm some ungrateful daughter with too much money who refuses to help her own family. They make you sound like a monster, Aunt Susan admitted last month. I just nodded and changed the subject. Because here's the thing, they never tell people the real story. They don't mention skipping my birthday. They don't mention demanding my house for Claire. They don't mention barging into my apartment like they owned it. Instead, they paint me as the selfish soldier who abandoned her loving family for no reason. But I don't care anymore. I really don't. My life is calmer, better, and stronger without their chaos. I love my country house. Every weekend I drive out, sometimes hosting friends, sometimes just enjoying the silence. I've got the pool area exactly how I like it. I planted a vegetable garden. And I even got a golden retriever, Charlie. Loyal, steady, the best companion I could ask for. Work is thriving too. I earned the promotion my commander had hinted about, and now I'm making even more money. Turns out when you're not weighed down by constant drama, your performance sharpens. Who knew? And then there's Tom. We've been seeing each other for 3 months now. He's an architect, steady and kind, a man who listens instead of lectures. When I told him about my family, he didn't flinch. Good for you, he said. Toxic family doesn't get a free pass just because they're blood. Hearing that was like fresh air in my lungs. For once, someone wasn't trying to guilt me into reconciliation. He respects my boundaries. He treats me like an equal partner, not a burden. Last weekend he even helped me install new kitchen lighting at the house. We're taking it slow, but it feels right. And my real circle? They've been nothing short of incredible. Sarah hosts a pool party at my place nearly every month. My colleagues come out for barbecues. I've hosted book club meetings, birthdays, even a baby shower for one of my friends. The house is lived in, loved, and full of laughter, the exact opposite of what my family wanted it to be. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm standing exactly where I belong. Sometimes I wonder if I should try to reconcile with my family. Usually it happens in quiet moments, when loneliness creeps in or when someone well-meaning tells me family is everything. But then I remember the birthday party they skipped. I remember them demanding I hand over my house to Claire. I remember my mother announcing to my friends, without asking, that she was moving in with me. I remember Claire's fake tears on social media, and the barrage of relatives calling to harass me. And I ask myself, why would I want those people back in my life? They never apologized. Not once. They never acknowledged the damage, never admitted the favoritism, never even tried to make it right. They just expected me to get over it and give them what they wanted. For 35 years I played the role. The responsible one, the one with the career, the one who kept it together. And still I was always less important than Claire. Claire, who never held a steady job, who lived with our parents until marriage, who threw tantrums and always got her way. I used to think maybe it was me. Maybe I wasn't good enough or lovable enough or successful enough to earn their respect. But now I know the truth. The problem was never me. The problem was them. They don't value hard work. They don't respect independence. They don't recognize discipline or responsibility. What they value is neediness, noise, and manipulation. They aren't proud of me for building a life on my own terms. They resent me for it. So no, I don't miss them. I don't miss the criticism. I don't miss the favoritism. I don't miss the guilt trips, the drama, the feeling that nothing I did was ever good enough. What I miss is the idea of family, the dream of having people who loved and supported me unconditionally. But that's not what I had. What I had were people who treated me like a resource, not a daughter. Charlie just patted over with his tennis ball, tail wagging. Time for our evening walk around the property. The sun is sinking low, casting golden light across the fields behind my house. Tonight Tom's coming over. We'll grill some fish, sit on the back deck, maybe watch a movie. This is my life now. Steady, quiet, full of people who actually care about me and respect my choices. I have a beautiful home I bought with my own money. Career I'm proud of. Friends who show up. A partner who treats me as an equal. I don't need relatives who only remember me when they want something. I don't need parents who played favorites and expected me to accept scraps forever. What I need I already have. What I don't have I don't need. And for the first time in a long time, no, for the first time ever, I can say this with certainty. I'm truly, genuinely happy.